That's an interesting looking Sonata. It looks like something I've seen before. I can't really put my finger on what it is though. Is it a bird? No, not really a bird. It is an animal. It's a cat maybe? Yeah, it looks a little bit like a cat. It's not what I was thinking of though. It's a fish. Yes, it looks like a catfish. Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's Sketch Monkey here, and today we're gonna have a look at the Hyundai 2020 model Sonata. Some call it Hyundai. In Europe, usually it's called more towards that pronunciation. In the US, they call it Hyundai. That's a lot easier to pronounce, so that's the pronunciation we're going to stick with in this video. So what we're going to have a look at is the front fascia of this car, and it bothers me, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why it bothers me. But before we do that, let's talk about some positive things here, some cool features that I haven't seen before. First time I saw this car was in the Miami Auto Show about a month ago, and I knew immediately that I wanted to do a redesign of this, especially the front. But in the end of this video, by the way, we're gonna talk about the rear as well. There are one thing that is really bothering me with the rear that I just have to fix as well. It's gonna take like 5 seconds to do, but I also want to show you that thing in the end of this video. So one cool thing about this front fascia that I really like and that I haven't seen before is this light here. So you have this light bar that fades out the further up the hood it goes. So it's kind of, you have one of the key lines of the car, and you have that being emphasized with a strip of light. Pretty cool, I haven't seen that before. And I'm all for new ideas and new design features that we haven't seen before, even though they might not really work sometimes. In this case, I think it's cool. It does work. It's something new. But I'm all for throwing in, you know, crazy ideas into car design, because I think we really need it at this time, and not just a restyling of a car we've seen 1,000 times before. But now let's talk about the problems that I have with this front end. First of all, this new grille that Hyundai is using is one of these things that you don't know if the curves are supposed to be there or not. So what I'm talking about is this curve right here, or this corner, or whatever it is. I don't know if it's a corner or a curve. It confuses me and I get annoyed because it doesn't have a definition. Is it a curve or is it a straight line? So what I'm going to do, I don't want to make it a straight line here, because if I do that, it loses a lot of its personality and branding, because I think they want to have this as a part of their design language. So what I'm going to do instead is give that specific design feature some more confidence and make it stand out even more. And we do that by actually giving it a corner here. So just make it sharper, make it more distinct, so that we can actually see the shape of the grille and not have to guess, like, is that some weird manufacturing problem that they had, that they created that little bend there? And this is not just in the grille. I think I saw a couple of other areas on this car where this occurs, and one is this curvature right here as well. We have a the slightest curvature for this headlight here, and same thing there. You don't really know if it's supposed to be a curve or is it supposed to be a straight line, or what's going on. So what I want to do here is the same thing. I just want to add a straight line that goes like this and connects that headlight, especially the top curvature on the headlight is what needs to be fixed. I know these seems like tiny details and small changes, and they kind of are, but at the same time they just make a huge difference when you have them being one way or the other, so not in between. So as I said, you don't know if this is supposed to be a curve or is it supposed to be a straight line. So let's just pick one side and go all in on that. But the biggest problem that I have with the front end of the 2020 Sonata is the lack of structure in the bottom part of this fascia. So you have these lines in the bottom, they're pointing up, and it makes it look weak, and that's a problem. So what I mean by that is, so we have these bottom lines here, and they're all pointing this way. They're all bending this way. You can see that this line down here, if we look at it from even further closer to the ground, we're gonna see that this is actually bending upwards. Same with this line right here, and there is nothing down here to give it the structure that I think it needs to complete the front fascia of the car. It looks like it looks like this part of the front, and this is also probably a detail to you, but to me this is the first thing that I thought of when I saw this car the first time, was that the front end looks like it's just hanging in midair. It doesn't have a base. You need to have a base line or base graphics in the front of a car. You know, you want to get the volume down and you want to get the weight down graphically. So what I'm going to do is reverse these lines. Instead of having bending this way, I want to having bend this way. So we create some weight going down instead of having this going up, if that makes sense. I think it's going to make sense when I show this to you and the final design that we're going to do with this. And there are a few more details that I want to change. I'm going to change the front fascia completely, or work with this bar that goes here. I do like that they have a bar that stretches all across the front because it gives it a wider look, but we can still work with the graphics on it and how it looks and how it's integrated in the rest of the graphics of the car. I think that can be worked on. So those are the things that bothers me, and those are the things that we're going to fix now in Photoshop. So yeah, let's see how this is going to turn out. Let's get to work and let's get sketching. Alright, so here we are inside of Photoshop. So the basic design changes that we're going to make is going to occur in the lower part of the front fascia of this car. That's where the biggest problems is, and that's where I think this Hyundai Sonata looks very weak and it needs to be fixed. So we want to add some structure to it and make it look confident and bring it down to the ground, make it look a little bit more planted than we have with the curvatures facing up. So we want to make those curvatures that I showed you in the brief, we want to bring those and make them bend the other way so that they follow closer to the ground, and also add some spoilers and stuff on there and make it a bit sportier. Even though it's probably not supposed to be the sportiest car, but I want to experiment with some graphics in the front here and see what we come up with. So I didn't want to go the normal route and create a very generic, you have two side intakes and then you have a main or a smaller intake right below the grille. The typical BMW M E46 styling, if that makes sense. I wanted to make something different, so I started by going that route to just get the proportions down on the graphics. But then once I had those down, I figured let's just explore and let's just add some airbrush and see what would come up here. If we can create some cool surfaces and have that play with the reflections, so what surfaces are facing up and what surfaces are facing down, and that way we create some interesting and dynamic shapes in the front, keeping it classy and keeping it simple. And as you can see, the grille just doesn't make sense to me right now because we have this small curvature that I want to start to define more and integrate more in the Hyundai brand identity. So create a curvature that is noticeable and not a curvature or a design feature that you have to guess if it's supposed to be there or not. I don't know about this grille shape to begin with. Are you a fan of it, or do you think it looks too much like a fish mouth, like a catfish or a whale shark or a manta ray or something like that? To me, I think it can work. I'm not sure about the mesh that's inside of the grille. That's kind of seems very bold to fit inside of this mouth, because it actually makes it look more like a mouth when you have all these ribbons and stuff going inside of there. Currently they're trying to figure out their design language, and I think they're doing a great job because they are trying to implement ideas that we haven't seen before, such as the light. And light design, I think, is going to be a huge development within light design the coming decade or so. New technology that we're starting to see with the light design. I mean, just look at Audi. You can even play a black and white movie projected from the headlights of your car. How sick is that? Not sure how much it's going to cost to replace one of those headlights. Probably half the value of the car. But still, it's new technology, it's going to be expensive at first. We're starting to come to an end of this redesign. As I said, I wanted just to keep it clean and keep it classy and not make any weird looking designs, and just define what's already there, define that more, and add some identity to the front end and just give it some strength and power. That's what I wanted to do with this redesign here. And of course we have to fit the wheels, and we have to make the wheels fit the wheel wells. So that's one of these small changes that makes a massive difference no matter what car you're working on. If you have small wheels, it's not going to look good, it's going to look weird. So just fill the wheel arches out with the correct size wheels. So as I said in the beginning of the video, I wanted to show you something in the rear as well that I want to change, and it's going to take about 5 seconds to do this, but it's still such an important change in my opinion that I wanted to show you that as well. First of all, there are actually two changes. First of all, I'm allergic to small wheels that doesn't fill out the wheel well, so I'm gonna show you now what a big of a difference it makes when we just take the wheels and simply fill them out. So let's do that first of all. Just look at that, isn't that great? It's such a simple little tweak. Just fill out the wheel wells with your wheels, and it makes such a big difference to not the proportion, only the proportions of the car, but also the stance of the car. Everything changes when you have the proper wheel setup for your wheels. I do like the design of these wheels, so I'm not going to change those. It doesn't have to be such a big project to do, just make them fill out the wheel well and push them out a little bit so they're flush with the side of the car. Now, this is the thing that I wanted to talk to you about. First of all, look at the graphics of this Sonata. To me, it's like a complete no-shame copy of the Honda Civic Coupe rear lights. Don't you agree? All they did was take this light bar right here and moved that. On the Honda Civic, we have it up here. They just said, okay, might not want to copy it 100%, so let's just take the light bar that's up here on the Honda Civic and move it down here. Now the problem with that is, as you know, I've talked about this before, everybody is doing light bars right now, and it's probably one of the biggest trends when it comes to car design in 2018, 19, and obviously in 20 as well. But in some cases, I just don't think it suits the car. And this is one of these cases, because when I look at this light bar, it just looks like it's been slapped on there for the sake of, like, we need to have a light bar because it's such a huge trend, so let's just put a strip that goes in between the two endpoints of the lights and let's just keep it like that. But to me, this light bar doesn't feel like it's integrated in the design. And one problem that I see with this graphically, and that's bothering me, is that it's in the smack middle of the deck lid. So this is what I mean by that. You see the height of the, so we have the integrated spoiler here, which looks very cool. I love integrated spoilers. I don't think I've seen one that doesn't look good. But we have this surface right here, bam, and then we have this surface right here. So we're talking graphics now. We have this surface right here, and then we have the light bar in the middle of this surface. So if you are going to have a light bar like this, that is just simply a LED strip with no curves to it or nothing, it's just a bar that goes in between 2 points of the rear. I either want to have it go up just a little bit up to this point, or move it down to this point down here. But I tried to do this in Photoshop, and I just couldn't get the light bar to feel integrated in the design. I tried to figure out why it doesn't belong here, and I think it has to do with the simple form of it. So it's just two parallel lines like that, and it doesn't seem to, you know, here we have a different thickness that goes into a narrower design here, and same thing here. This top part of the lights are narrower than this sidebar here, and then we have curvatures all over this place. We have a curvature here, and here as well, and then we have just this two lines that just feels like they just put them there for the sake of having a light bar. So what I'm going to do now is just remove the light bar, and then of course you be the judge if you think it looks better or worse, and let me know in the comments below what you think. But let's see how it's going to turn out first of all. Alright, so there we have it. As I said, it took 5 seconds to do, but sometimes a major change to the design doesn't have to take 10 minutes or 30 minutes, an hour to do. Sometimes it's just a small change and it still makes a big difference. To me, I think this looks a lot cleaner. It doesn't look forced. It looks more elegant, and I think the Sonata is supposed to be an elegant car and not just slap a light bar on there for the sake of having some cool graphics on there that like everybody else does. And now it actually looks pretty decent. I mean, I don't have any complaints about the rear. The front is where the main issues were that we talked about earlier. But that's about it. This was the redesign of the Hyundai Sonata 2020. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with the changes that we made in this video? Or are they complete bull crap or nonsense? Let me know in the comments below what you think. And if you enjoy these kind of videos, hit that like button. It really means a lot to me. Help this channel grow. I'm trying to reach 200,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's going to be very, very tight, but if you help out, I can see that we might actually hit that goal, and that would be so cool to see. Thanks for watching and spending a few minutes with me today. I'm the Sketch Monkey. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.